Off the top, it's rapid fire. He said, she said, 3 topics, 2 minutes each. Anything goes. There are no taboos. Case in point. Now, for some of you, this may cut a little close to home. And I'm sure some of you guys have already been cut close to home. A group in San Francisco would like to make circumcision illegal. This could actually show up on the November ballot. They've already got 12,000 signatures. They want to make it illegal to circumcise anyone under the age of 18. Doctors, mohels, or any person who performed the procedure would face a $1,000 fine or a year of jail time. As you can imagine, not everybody is pleased with this. It is a ritual in the Jewish faith. Most experts do not make a recommendation about circumcision and leave it up to the parents to decide. Our contributors, radio talk show host and civil rights attorney Leo Terrell and doctor of social ethics Charlotte Laws. Our pictures are furnished by Skype. Charlotte, I'll start with you. Should any city government snip a parent's right to have their child circumcised?
No, they shouldn't. And I just think government is intervening in our lives too much. I am Jewish, but I would not circumcise my son if I had a son. And so I do think it creates more harm than good. However, if you look at the numbers of circumcised kids, they're greatly declining. In the country right now, 80% of males are circumcised, but in 2009, only 32% of babies went through that procedure. And so what I think is really important is disclosure, letting parents know the pros and the cons, the options, and that's not really happening right now because the American Medical Association did a survey, and they found out that 50% of doctors are not going over the pros and cons with the parents.
All right, but so Charlotte, let me jump in here. Leo, I'm going to switch to you on this. Should city government tell you if you should have your son circumcised?
Absolutely not. And there's a right of privacy. Let me be very candid and open to everyone. My mother and father did not have me circumcised, but my brother was, and we're not Jewish. It is a private right of the parents to make that decision. And really, Fred, I question the motivation. It has a sense of an anti-Semitic movement. I don't like it. As a civil rights attorney, I think there's a problem with this from a personal privacy issue, and everyone in this country, in this world knows that this is part of the Jewish faith, and that's a decision that should be left to the parents, the family. I would fight against this. I don't think it has any chance of passing whatsoever.
Leo, whether you're circumcised or not, I think it's between you and your urologist. TMI, a little too much information there, Leo. So, Charlotte, you're on board here. Government, stay out of this, right?
Right, exactly.
Okay, let's move on. Now, if you have driven anywhere in the state of California, you know streets can be a dangerous place. One way to make them safer, catch the drivers breaking the law. So how about installing cameras at red lights? Should make a difference, shouldn't it? If so, why are many cities taking them down? A state law in 2004 allowed cities to put the cameras up. They're costly to install and maintain. Instead of a backhanded way to generate revenue, a city can actually lose money. Example, Los Angeles. City has lost more than $2.5 million over the past several years and continues to install more cameras. City of Anaheim voted to ban the cameras. A proposal to ban the cameras statewide was defeated in state committee. Leo, keep the cameras or turn off the red light?
Keep the cameras, because you know what? This story is being looked at from the wrong angle. If it's out to make money, that's not the motivation. There's a safety issue, and we know, everyone knows, that when the cops are not around, people take chances on the road. Well, those little cameras saves lives and put people on notice not to speed through intersections. I love the idea, and the focus should not be on how much money we can make, it's how many lives we can save.
Well, if that's the case, but Leo, if that's the case, then why did the former mayor of Anaheim, Kurt Pringle, put it on the ballot last November, and the city voted to knock the red light cameras off? And the mayor of Anaheim himself said, we're not going to sit here and have the citizens of Anaheim pay. We're not going to generate revenue on these things because they really don't do any good.
Well, listen, Fred, again, I mean, the focus is on economics. And does anyone dispute the fact that those red light catch motorists breaking the law? So I'm just totally confused on the economic end versus the safety. I like the cameras. I don't mind getting caught if I'm breaking the law.
Charlotte, what do you think?
Well, you're completely wrong, Leo. First of all, there are tons of studies that show that accidents have increased or certainly not gone down with regards to having the cameras. And this is just Big Brother. This is just a way to increase revenues. That's what the whole plan was in the first place. When you have a recession, what happens is public safety officials and cops turn into tax collectors.
Excuse me. Last time I checked, first of all, it's not making money. And the last time I checked, government has 4 responsibilities: health, safety, morals, and the welfare.
I understand that.
Of those streets. And that's a safety issue. And that's
but many of the cities, like 23 cities, at least in this state, have said, no, we're not going to do it anymore. And many of them have done studies and shown that it's not helping public safety. In fact, in Los Angeles, 75% of those tickets that people have gotten have to do with just doing right turns, doing rolling right turns, which has nothing to do with public safety. That's not dangerous.
Well, I agree. They were put in there for economic reasons, but the bottom line is you're putting a price tag on saving someone's life. I disagree with that.
All right, Leo, I'm going to give you the final word on that, and that's it. One more. Let's go. If you've been to a public library lately, have you ever heard someone ask, hey, is there a time limit for the computers? Because I want to settle in and watch some porn. Maybe you haven't heard it, but plenty of people have seen it, including kids, and that's created a problem. People are going to the library and watching porn. Happened in the City of Angels. Kids were in line waiting to check out books, looked over their shoulder, and got a different kind of education. Parents were horrified and complained. They wanted porn blocked from the computers. The city council looked into it. They decided it's a First Amendment issue, freedom of speech. You can watch porn in the library, but they moved the computers away from the kids section. Is that really enough? Checking out the books is one thing. Should you be allowed to check out porn in the library, Charlotte?
I don't think you should. And 17% of the public libraries in this country have content filters so that you don't watch porn. The Supreme Court even ruled on this in 2003 and said you can have those filters. And I don't even think this needs to be a free speech issue, because there's always a limited amount of space and time with regards to a library. They can't have every single book. They don't have porno magazines there. You don't get Penthouse in the library. There are many G-rated books that they don't have space for. It's the same thing with computers. You can't have all the time in the world. You know, you have to just make decisions about what you're going to provide and what you're not going to provide. Plus, when you have porno, you're going to potentially get more viruses, more spyware, which means the taxpayer has to pay money to clean up those computers.
Charlotte, wait, Leo, let me say one thing. Charlotte, I think one thing you said is true. If you have porno, you're probably going to get more viruses. Go ahead, Leo.
I don't get it. Charlotte's talking about Big Brother in the last segment, and now she wants Big Brother to jump in. Wait a minute. Let me be very clear. No one on this planet, or at least in this country, because we do have a First Amendment, have the right to tell individuals, especially the government, what they can and cannot see. And the parents have the right to tell their kids, don't go in that library. But to try to regulate content, I mean, we need to do a check on the First Amendment, because I find it perfectly okay, and I applaud the city of LA, to allow that information to be distributed. I don't care if it's porn. It's free. It's admissible. It's allowed. We sell it at liquor stores. We sell it at 7-Eleven. It doesn't make a difference if it's in the library or a 7-Eleven. It's a public library.
Leo, let me ask you a question then. Using that as the example, now people have iPads. They have the ability to watch video anywhere if you have the 3G. So you're walking down the street, and you've got your son or your daughter, you're walking down the street, and there's a guy sitting over there on the bench, and you walk up, and he's looking at his iPad, and he's watching porn, and he's watching it outside. You're telling me that's completely and perfectly acceptable. No problem with that. You don't have a problem with that.
I have no problem with that, Mr. Rogan, because that's on the street. It's a public street. We don't want to regulate content on a public street. No, I love it. I have no problem with it. I don't watch porn, but it's okay.
But they're regulating content all the time at the library, Leo, because they're making decisions about which books they're going to stock and which they're not going to stock.
Not the government. That's why we have people out in the Bible Belt regulating Huckleberry Finn or Tom Sawyer. We don't want content regulated by Big Brother. I just thought you were against Big Brother, Charlotte, on the last segment. Now you want Big Brother to jump in.
Well, I just think you have to make decisions about what you're going to provide and not provide, and that's all I'm saying. And I think that it takes a lot more manpower also to regulate porn, because you're going to have librarians who are going to have to keep dealing with it, and you're using up a lot of resources.
Okay.
Well, I love the First Amendment.
All right.
I love the First Amendment.
All right. And with that, I will thank you both, and I'll talk to you again soon. Thanks a lot, Leo and Charlotte.
Thank you, Fred.
All right. Now, next time you see someone smoking something you think's illegal, Look again, they might be smoking lasagna.